Good morning. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 legislative session. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter,
Present.
DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth,
Present.
Flanagan,
Here.
Gallant,
Here.
Goulding,
Here.
Gurr, Hunt,
Here.
Jackson, Karras,
Here.
Kasama,
Here.
Nguyen,
Here.
Chair Considine.
I am here, and if you would please record Assembly Member Jackson as present when they arrive. Good morning. Welcome to the audience here in Carson City, those joining us by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. I would like to start with some housekeeping measures. First, please check and silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Turn the microphone off each time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure the hard copies are available for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted to our committee manager by 9 a.m. yesterday for today's committee. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material presented. If you have any follow-up questions, please flag them for me so we can ensure we balance our time effectively. And committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret that as a sign of disrespect or inattention. And with that, we can get started. Today we will hear two bills. First, we will hear Assembly Bill 301, which revises provisions relating to general improvement districts, and then AB 325, which revises provisions relating to artificial intelligence. To ensure that we get through everyone fairly and in a timely manner, we will set a 20-minute time limit for each period of support, opposition, and neutral testimony. Each speaker will have up to 2 minutes. And I would like to now open the hearing on AB 301. To present this measure, we have Assembly Member Goulding and a co-presenter. And go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I'm Heather Goulding. I represent Assembly District 27, which includes Sun Valley, a community of over 20,000 residents who receive water, sewer, and waste disposal services from the Sun Valley General Improvement District, or GID. I appreciate the opportunity to present AB 301 today, a bill that addresses a concern for my constituents. Joining me today are Matt Morris, who represents the Sun Valley GID, and Susan Sievert, the chair of the Sun Valley GID. This is a straightforward bill that addresses a need in the community, and I will ask my co-presenters to explain that need and our proposed remedy.
Good morning, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, members of the committee. Thank you very much. My name is Matt Morris, M-O-R-R-I-S for the record. I'm an attorney with Holland & Hart, and I represent the Sun Valley General Improvement District. Thank you very much for hearing Assembly Bill 301 today. Before I begin, I do want to thank the bill sponsor, Assemblymember Goulding, who has worked with us for several months on this measure and has championed it. We very much appreciate her leadership and the work that she's done to help build some consensus and to move this measure forward. And I also want to thank the Vice Chair, Assemblymember Nguyen, for working with us as well in the interim to develop this bill language and to move it forward. I do have a very brief presentation that will help kind of give some background context on AB 301 and on general improvement districts. As a short summary of the bill, AB 301 is enabling legislation that will authorize certain general improvement districts, or GIDs, that provide water, trash collection, or sewer services to adjust a cap on board member compensation. The bill would increase a cap that was first enacted in 2005 to adjust for inflation. The bill authorizes certain GID boards to raise the cap that's currently in statute from $9,000 to up to $14,500. First, I want to say that we have a friendly amendment that clarifies some of the language that was initially proposed in the bill, and it removes language that would limit the adjustment based on service connections. This language was initially contemplated to limit the scope of the proposed adjustment, and upon further discussion and research into the GIDs statewide that would be affected by this bill, and in light of existing safeguards in NRS 318 that already limit how salary adjustments are approved, it was determined that the amendment language would be clearer and would achieve the desired outcome and prevent similar bills from having to be presented every session for all of the different GIDs across the state. There are about 75 of them. Before I outline AB 301, I'd like to just give a high-level overview of general improvement districts in Nevada. GIDs are governed by statute under NRS Chapter 318. The primary purpose of a GID is to provide a quasi-municipal form of local government that facilitates financing and development of infrastructure and the provision of ongoing essential services within a particular area. GIDs are meant to be an economic development and infrastructure development tool for local, county, and municipal governments. The statutory powers that are granted to GIDs allow for funding infrastructure development and for maintaining and providing ongoing essential services such as water treatment and delivery, trash pickup and disposal, sewer service, and other needed services. GIDs are formed either by a local, county, or municipal ordinance or by a petition from property owners who are seeking to establish a new GID. Once the initiating ordinance is proposed, the local, county, or municipal jurisdiction is required to make certain findings regarding the need for the GID, including a finding of public convenience and necessity, and that the GID would be economically sound and feasible, as well as a viable service plan and other statutory criteria. So in terms of governance, a GID board can either be a local county commission sitting as the board of the general improvement district, or a GID can be governed by an independent elected board of trustees. Those board members are subject to Nevada's election laws. They sit for election every 4 years, and they are governed by the same statutes that generally apply to elected officials, including term limits, which the GID chair, Sievert, will talk about in just a moment. There are 75 or so active GIDs in Nevada. Most Nevada counties have at least one GID that is active, with a few exceptions. And based on the best available data from the Nevada Department of Taxation, about 40 GIDs in this state provide water, trash collection, and/or sewer services. Of those 40 GIDs, 25 are governed by independent elected boards, and the rest are governed by the Board of County Commissioners. And to be clear, AB 301 only applies to a GID that has an independent elected board of trustees. If the board is an extension of the county commission, then county commissioners and their compensation is governed under a different statute. NRS 318 prohibits any additional compensation in these circumstances. So as I mentioned, there are a variety of functions that a GID may perform under statute. These powers range from providing electric light and service, to operating and maintaining public swimming pools and recreation facilities, to pest abatement and control, to providing water service delivery, trash collection, and sewer services. Not every GID provides these services. Not every GID provides the same services or all of them. And one of the key benefits of establishing a GID is the flexibility to finance and maintain the infrastructure that are needed for specific services in a specific area. As a quick note on legislative history, because that's the kind of law that I practice and I'm kind of a nerd, so I wanted to go back in and look at 318 and look at kind of the genesis of some of these provisions. Senate Bill 20 was actually passed in the 1959 legislative session and established NRS 318 in its current form. There were a few GIDs that actually existed before this statute was passed, but Senate Bill 20 from 1959 gave us 318 as we have it today. In 1977, AB 166 was passed, and that established a $6,000 compensation cap that is still in NRS 318-085. And during the 2005 session, AB 475 kept the $6,000 cap, limit for certain GID boards, but it established a separate limit of $9,000 for certain GIDs that provide water, sewer, and trash collection services. And AB 301 proposes to adjust this $9,000 cap that was first enacted in 2005. So to go over there are two sections in AB 301. It's a relatively short bill. Section 1 allows a GID board to adjust the statutory compensation cap from $9,000 to up to $14,500, subject to the existing limitations in NRS 318.085. And I will talk about those limitations in just a moment. I want to be clear, though, that the bill itself does not increase any compensation for any GID board member. It is only enabling legislation that allows the GID board in certain circumstances to make that decision for itself and according to statutory rules and limitations. Section 2 of the bill is a conforming change that clarifies NRS 354599, which is part of the Local Government Budgeting Act, that would generally mandate that anytime the legislature requires a local government to spend money on services, that it has to also include new revenue. And the reason why this conforming change is in the bill is because existing statute already requires a GID to make this decision based on an adequate budget. GIDs are financed according to a variety of different ways, mostly service fees for the services that they provide to their customers. And so Section 2 clarifies that 354 does not apply. The proposed $14,500 cap is based on the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation data that estimates that $9,000, which was approved in 2005, has the same spending or value today as about $15,000. AB 301's proposed adjustment is a bit less than that inflationary change in value. So while I understand $9,000 to $14,000 appears to be an increase, what we're really doing is allowing a GID to maintain the status quo of the $9,000 that was approved in 2005. And finally, I just want to mention the existing safeguards that are in NRS Chapter 318. Again, AB 301 does not increase compensation. It merely allows the GID board to make that decision if the board's constituents approve and if the budget is adequate. So under NRS 318.085, the statute requires that any change in compensation that a board approves can only take effect on January 1 of the calendar year after the next general election. And what that means is that voters will have the opportunity to weigh in on any compensation change that a GID board may vote on or approve. Second, NRS 318.085 requires that the GID budget must be adequate to support the change. Third, board members cannot increase salary amounts for some members but not others. There must be parity among all board members. And finally, no additional compensation for board service is allowed, whether as a board employee or otherwise. And I want to emphasize that those protections and limitations are already in existing statute. And if the bill passes and a GID board takes a vote to increase or adjust its compensation, that vote is subject to these existing limitations and safeguards in NRS Chapter 318. So with that, Chair, with your indulgence, I'd like to invite the Chair of the Sun Valley General Improvement District to make some remarks as well. Thank you.
So good morning. Good morning. My name is Susan Sievert. I am currently serving as the chairwoman of the Sun Valley General Improvement District. First of all, I'd like to thank the chair and the members of this committee for allowing me to speak today. I'm a 47-year resident of Sun Valley, Nevada, and in 2013, I was appointed and then reelected a few times to the Sun Valley General Improvement District Board. Today, I currently serve as the chairwoman of that board, and we provide water, sewer, garbage collection, and recreational services to 6,000 plus connections. For over 5 decades, the Sun Valley General Improvement District has been delivering quality drinking water to the Sun Valley community. That is our most important thing that we do, which includes about 20,000 residents. Board business is only a portion of what we do as trustees, as we live in our small districts and our neighbors can interact with us face-to-face pretty much daily. This means that although we have very limited powers, we are in fact have become the face of government for all of our constituents. Concerns about state, county, and agency issues are often brought to us first, and as an elected trustee, we understand that our neighbors are looking to us for answers and information. Many times I've walked into my coffee shop and I'm walking as Susan, but I come out as Chair Sievert. Because again, I'm always stopped, asked questions, concerns, and I always carry everything I need to make sure that I can answer whatever questions I can. Because of these interactions, I'm always looking for motivated individuals to possibly take notice of our important work and maybe one day make the decision to run for this office. I'm hopeful that the next generation is ready to serve, and I'm excited to see what the future will hold for my community. So, I feel it is time to update Chapter 318 and to authorize GID boards to raise the compensation limit as the 75 or so GIDs in this great state of Nevada move forward into the future. This change will allow GID boards to discuss any compensation changes based on the will of their constituents and their budgets. After several terms on this board, I will be ending my tenure with the GID at the beginning of 2027. If AB 301 is approved, and I hope it will be, it will allow a future board to make a decision regarding compensation for future members. And I could say that this has been my greatest honor and achievement to be able to represent basically my neighbors and to provide needed services fiscally and with care and concern for my fellow citizens. AB 301, I hope, will encourage future leaders to step up and carry on this important work in service to their community, and in my community for sure. After all, Sun Valley is the best kept secret in Northern Nevada. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation. Madam Chair, we're happy to answer any questions about the bill.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We do have some questions from members. We will start with Assemblymember Flanagan.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming in to make this presentation. It sounds like it's a very close-knit community. You mentioned going out and getting stopped and being asked questions and the residents being very connected. My only question is why not set it up to where it goes to the ballot and the voters vote on this process rather than the board making the decision? Just want to have that on the record.
Thank you, Member Flanagan. That's a great question, and I think what I would say is that the ballot, Matt Morris for the record, thank you, M-O-R, Matt Morris for the record, still early. It's a great question, and the process for running a ballot initiative is actually governed under NRS 295, and it can be a difficult process. To put something on the ballot, you have to gather a certain number of signatures. You have to gather those signatures from various congressional districts. And so it would be actually cumbersome for the voters to have to go through that process, as opposed to what's in existing statute where the change that the GID may make would be effective after the next election. So I think the existing safeguard for voters to weigh in is to say if they approve of this decision or if they disapprove, then they're able to voice that concern at the next general election.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Also, thank you for meeting with me yesterday regarding this bill. I do have, excuse me, a follow-on question. I'm assuming that the board has staggered terms, and if the board does vote to increase the pay, you said it wouldn't take effect till after the next election cycle. So am I correct in assuming there will be some board members that would receive an increase in pay without having to go through an election?
There would be some, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just have a quick, I think, confirming question. This only applies to GIDs that only have sewer, trash, just that. So anything else this doesn't apply to, am I correct on that?
Matt Morris for the record, thank you. Madam Chair, that's correct. Those three types of GIDs.
Committee members, are there any other questions? Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Chair. This might be a silly question, but this is the first time I've served on GA, so I'm curious, the General Improvement District boards, do they decide on the rates of some of the utilities, or does that go through the PUC? How does that work exactly?
Yes. I'm sorry, Susan Sievert, Sun Valley GID. Yes, we do. We would set, in our case, we would set sewer rates and water rates and recreational rates. And that's usually based on whatever, we buy wholesale our water from Tomah. Obviously, our sewer goes to the Sparks Sewer Treatment Plant. So that's all based on what we're being charged. So we are actually an enterprise district, so we take service fees in.
Automatically turned off. Okay, so what would ensure that a GID board does not increase rates so that they can increase their salary?
My fellow neighbors. I mean, sorry, Susan Sievert, again for the record, my fellow neighbors. We have a very defined district. So it's a short, there's not many voters in that district. We have to rely on getting their votes to be elected. And again, they pay attention. I will tell you, so we always, my general improvement district since its inception has always been very fiscally conservative with our money. I actually asked one of my board members if they have an appetite to do this, and they said no. But again, I think the future board members may want to have a little bit of a carrot in order to, to serve. Everybody, has a perception that it's a small government, we just do a few things, but really, we are the face of the government. I get county, state, I get federal questions all the time. And again, all we can do is defer that, but and try to help them out as much as we can, but, it's the only person they see that they elected.
Thank you, and seeing no other questions from our committee, I would like, thank you for your presentation. I would like to move on to testimony on the bill. Testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. Further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. We will be maintaining a 20-minute time limit for the periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having no more than 2 minutes. And just as a reminder, support, if you are testifying in support, that means that you are approving the measure as written, or that you're approving the measure as written along with the proposed amendments that have been approved by the sponsor for the measure. So just to make it shorter, if you are testifying in support, you are supporting the bill as it is. If your testimony begins, I support this bill, but, or I support this bill except, that is not technically support, that is opposition. And opposition is not supporting the measure as written or not supporting the measure as revised by the amendment. And then neutral is the person offers particular insight on the measure but expresses no position on the measure. So just wanted to go over that, and we will now begin testimony in support of AB 301 here in Carson City. If anybody would like to approach. Seeing no one in Carson City, Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of AB 301? Seeing no one in the audience in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone on the line in support of AB 301?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 301, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Costello. I'm here to provide testimony in support of increasing the compensation for the Board of Trustees of the GID. I'm one of the specialists overseeing the Family Resource Center for the Washoe County School District. I've served in this capacity since 2006, all of that time, 19 years in the Sun Valley community. I can attest to the dedication and commitment of the Board of Trustees for the GID. They work tirelessly on behalf of the Sun Valley community, attending community events, researching the issues at hand, spending countless hours attending meetings, reviewing documents, and engaging with the community to understand their needs and concerns. And Ms. Sievert is correct in that people do approach her at these events and at the local coffee house. Because of their dedication to always go the extra mile, the trustees are uncompensated for their time often. This can actually deter the most qualified individuals from serving on the board because they see it as a burden. By seeking an increase in compensation, there can be assurances that a diverse pool of candidates who bring valuable skills and perspectives are attracted to positions. Currently, the compensation package for the trustees does not align with the time and the effort that they invest in their roles. The role of a utility board trustee is both demanding and vital, and their roles include making critical decisions regarding budgets, infrastructure, and the well-being of the community as a whole. These decisions directly impact the community and the quality of life of the residents of the community. Given the importance of these responsibilities, it's imperative that adequate compensation is provided to reflect the level of commitment and expertise required for the board of the SVGID. Thank you for your attention to this important matter, and I appreciate your commitment and to look forward to seeing the positive changes that will strengthen the board.
Hello, my name is Malik Blythe. I'm the senior pastor of New Revival Church, which has been in Sun Valley for 5 years. I am in support or in favor of the AB 301 increasing for the cap of the trustees' compensation. Reason why we are in favor is I believe that to have qualified individuals to represent the constituents of the Sun Valley community, you have to have individuals that are passionate and see the purpose in going towards holding such a prestigious opportunity to represent them. So many times when you don't have anything that can actually compensate individuals for the time and the energy and the passion that they have, they get discouraged to even go for that certain position, which then invites individuals who may just want to be in a position of power and prestige to not represent the constituents of Sun Valley in an appropriate and healthy manner. We see the community every 2 weeks as we feed close to 1,000 people through our food pantry that has been supported through the Sun Valley GID. We've seen how the Sun Valley GID has held annual opportunities in the park to be able to bring the community together and to create positive relationships with all of its community members towards a healthier community in Sun Valley. So we at New Revival Church, and I as Malik Blythe, senior pastor of New Revival Church, am in agreement and favor of AB 301 increasing for the cap for the trustees' compensation. Thank you.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 910. You are unmuted on our end. Please make sure you are unmuted on your end. Again, caller with the last 3 digits, 910. You are unmuted on our end. Please make sure that you are unmuted on your end.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Michael Refty. I have lived in Sun Valley for 54 years. I've attended meetings over the years. I've been attending them a little bit more now that I've gotten a little older. I see where they have done a lot for our community. They try to keep our rates as low as they can. They take care of our parks very well. They support the community with several different events. They haven't had an increase for what they do, and they work very diligently doing this. So I am in favor of the AB 301 and hope that it will attract more people to run that are qualified. Thank you very much.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We will now move to testimony in opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City who wishes to testify in opposition to AB 301? Seeing no one, and looking at Vegas and seeing no one, AVH, we're back on the phones with you for opposition to AB 301.
To testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 301, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Aaron Katz. I'm a full-time resident of Incline Village. We have the largest GID in the state, the Incline Village General Improvement District. I am in opposition to this. If you've heard the support, it's really all about Sun Valley. It's not about the state, but this proposed legislation affects the entire state, which means it will affect us, and it has unintended consequences. This is basically a benefit for a handful of trustees in Sun Valley. It's detrimental to the rest of the state. And really, how many GIDs are we talking about? It does not apply to water provisions. It's sewer and trash. How many GIDs in the state have 5,000 connections for sewer? I don't know the answer. I'm guessing it's less than 5. We have approximately 8,000, so it affects us. All GIDs have financial problems. I don't know if you know about Incline. We're under the possible fiscal watch by the State Department of Taxation and possibly severe emergency. One of the assembly people said, where will the money come from? I'm telling you, I guarantee you, if there's an increase in compensation, your rates will increase to cover those. That's what we're facing. So my position is, if you need additional money to be a trustee for a GID, go get a job. You should be representing our community for no compensation whatsoever. And this is just another added wasteful cost that adversely affects the entire state. Let Sun Valley do its own legislation. For Sun Valley, we have different issues here. Please consider not approving this. Thank you.
Chair, we have no additional callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will now move on to neutral testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify neutral on this bill? Seeing no one approach and still seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone on the line who wishes to testify neutral on AB 301?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. We have no callers for neutral at this time.
Thank you. And would the presenter like to make any final remarks?
Chair, Heather Goulding for the record. Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. As you've heard, not every GID board has the support of their constituents. If AB 301 is approved, each GID board will have to justify their decision to their voters and comply with other limitations that already exist in law. To be clear, AB 301 will not raise any GID board member salaries. It merely authorizes the board to make that decision if their budget permits, if their constituents support, and if their constituents support it. For those GIDs, such as Sun Valley GID and others whose board members have earned the confidence and support of their constituents, they'll be authorized to make the best decision for their organization. I want to take the opportunity to express how grateful I am to be able to represent Sun Valley. They're a truly amazing community that is so committed to their limited resources. So it is truly my honor to be here today and represent their interests. And I hope that you will support this bill, and I thank you so much for the time and consideration.
Thank you. I will now close the hearing on AB 301, and I will open the hearing on AB 325, which revises provisions relating to artificial intelligence. To present this measure, we have Assembly Member and former Government Affairs Chair Torres Fawcett and Assembly, Government. I can see into the future. No. Assembly Member Torres Fawcett and current member on GA, Max Carter. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Considine and members of the hardest working committee in the Nevada State Legislature. For the record, I'm Assembly Member Selena Torres Fawcett, and I'm excited to be presenting this piece of legislation with my colleague, Assembly Member Carter. I was supposed to be presenting this piece of legislation with John Connor, but he got caught up with Skynet this morning, so I'm very excited that Assembly Member Carter could take his place. AB 325, which revises provisions relating to artificial intelligence or AI, or to put it another way, this bill is here to ensure that AI enhances our systems rather than becoming an unstoppable force with no human oversight. I'll go ahead and turn it to my colleague to give some additional background information.
Thank you very much. This Max Carter, Assembly District 12. I don't want the sign flashed at me. This bill comes out of the hard work of the interim Government Affairs Committee, that based on a presentation from the Gwynn Center. And it's not about restricting innovation, it's about creating safeguards and boundaries as this developing technology of artificial intelligence grows. You know, that right now it's a developing technology and its infancy, and there's not a universal trust in it yet. And so that's why we need to keep humans involved in the decision-making processes, especially when we're talking about shutting down utilities to whole communities. So, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll go ahead and go over a little bit of the legislative history. So during the interim committee, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record, during the interim committee, we did hear a presentation from the Gwynn Center on policy that's going around the nation to address artificial intelligence. And with that, this recommendation came. Several states are using and testing AI-powered systems in 911 call centers for non-emergency calls with the goal of reducing the strain and workload on call center staffers while more efficiently directing callers to the appropriate resources. Additionally, the Gwynn Center reports that several states, including Nevada, are utilizing cameras equipped with AI photography to aid in the detection of wildfires. There are clear opportunities with integrating AI into our systems to capitalize on its speed, its automation potential for repetitive tasks, and its capability to reduce the strain on human workload, I think, is still to be unknown. AI, when used properly, can be a powerful ally, like the T-800 when it's on our side. But as any Terminator fan knows, without proper safeguards, machines don't always make the best decisions for humanity. AI's rapid evolution presents challenges, including bias, ethical concerns, and the lack of human intuition in crisis situations. It's critical that the person pulling that trigger continues to be a human. The interim committee had the opportunity to learn about both the advantages and issues with its incorporation, including from the Gwynn Center and the Chief Information Officer within the Office of the Governor. These presentations highlighted some of the factors that we need to be wary of when we're implementing AI, such as bias, ethical decision-making, and the human accountability and adaptiveness as well. The machine learning that largely characterizes AI also leaves it vulnerable to data and algorithmic biases, for example, that may be unintentionally skewing its output. It may inaccurately account for underrepresented groups of people in its predictive algorithms. or to limited data or utilize certain language preferences that produce biased results. Ultimately, AI systems are valuable tools, but they are incapable of addressing certain decision-making factors like moral and ethical considerations or bias monitoring that may arise, particularly in emergency situations. If left unchecked, we could end up with an AI system making choices that don't consider real human lives, something that we have seen play out in the Terminator franchise and other science fiction novels and movies, and something that we have to ensure doesn't happen here. Human oversight continues to be essential. This time, I'm going to go ahead and summarize this piece of legislation, which is a pretty brief bill. I will also note that there was an amendment that I have accepted from Nevada Energy. So please take a moment to review that document as well. It defines artificial intelligence and requires that the state emergency management plan, as well as plans developed by the state and local governments, include provisions to ensure that the final decisions regarding emergency response planning and resource allocation are not made by AI. Furthermore, per that amendment, it prohibits a public utility from solely using AI to make a final decision regarding whether to reduce or shut down utility services in response to a disaster or emergency. This gives room for utility services to use AI for their opportunities. So for example, one utility company talked to me about how they might use it for their meters that they use to measure the allocation of those resources. They can continue to do that, but this requires that the shutdown in a disaster or an emergency or the reduction of those services is still determined by a person. At the heart of this bill is so at this time, I'll just go ahead and open it for questions, and then if you have any additional questions on the bill or the amendment, I'm happy to answer those at this time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We do have a question from Assembly Member De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Assembly Members Torres Fawcett and Carter, for this bringing this bill forward. I know we had a very robust conversation during the interim about AI, in several committees, and I think this is going to be a growing sort of a facet really in our ability to look forward to bills that address this issue, in the upcoming sessions. So my question really is on the semantics of the bill. So this bill is not going to prohibit AI from being a source of information or data or helping in decision making. What it does prohibit is the final decision being made by artificial intelligence and not some sort of human capacity. Correct?
Max Carter, for the record. Yes, absolutely. It does not prohibit it in any way except mandating that there be human involvement in that final decision. We don't need something like we've seen in these dystopian universes where Skynet decides to protect Skynet. We could have an AI data center here in Nevada that decides to protect itself because it's looking at its own survival rather than Nevadans.
Okay, that was the only question from the committee. So thank you so much for the presentation. We will now open it to testimony on the bill. Again, testimony can be provided in Carson City via video conference in Las Vegas or over the phone, and further instructions can be found on the agenda. We are still maintaining a 20-minute time limit for support, opposition, and neutral. And first, we will begin in testimony and support here in Carson City. Anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in support of AB 325? Okay, seeing no one approach, and still seeing no one in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone on the phone in support?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 325, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We will now move on to testimony in opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City that wishes to provide testimony in opposition to AB 325? Seeing no one approach and still seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone on the line in opposition to AB 325?
To testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 325, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. And then we will move on to neutral testimony. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Please begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Considine, members of the committee. I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide information in neutral on NV Energy's existing emergency outage management programs as they may relate to AB 325 and the proposed amendment. For the record, my name is Anthony Ruiz, last name is spelled R-U-I-Z, and I'm the Government Relations Manager for NV Energy. NV Energy takes a comprehensive approach to managing outages, particularly in emergency situations. Our outage response is guided by a combination of real-time data, established policies, and human oversight to ensure the best possible outcomes for our customers. Artificial intelligence already plays a role in our decision-making processes for certain emergency outage practices in NV Energy. Currently, we utilize advanced analytical tools, including AI-based technologies, to support risk assessments, identify potential threats, and improve response times. However, the final decisions regarding service reductions or shutoffs in emergencies are always made with human oversight. Artificial intelligence serves as a tool to enhance our ability to respond to emergencies efficiently, but does not replace independent human judgment in critical decision-making. NV Energy is currently using AI-driven wildfire alert cameras as part of our Natural Disaster Protection Program, or plan. These cameras do provide 24/7 fire detection, improving response times, and support fire mitigation efforts. NV Energy is also proposing AI-driven vegetation management systems using satellite imagery and machine learning to improve resource deployment and reduce wildfire risk. These tools assist in risk assessments to help evaluate potential threats to our infrastructure. And so, again, while AI can provide real-time risk ratings based on predefined criteria, the final de-energization decisions remain subject to human involvement. And so, in short, AI enhances our capabilities, but does not independently dictate decisions as the sole decision maker per this amendment. And so as NV Energy continues to integrate new technologies, we remain committed to maintaining a balanced approach that leverages AI for efficiency while also ensuring that human oversight remains central to our emergency response decisions. We appreciate the opportunity to share this information and are available to provide further details to the committee as needed as we move forward. And then finally, of course, just want to acknowledge Assembly Member Torres Fawcett for her leadership and Assemblymember Carter for his leadership as well on this important topic over the interim. Both their dedication to ensuring a balanced and forward-thinking policy framework is commendable, and we're grateful for her engagement in this discussion. Chair, this concludes my comments, so thank you, and happy to answer any questions if there are any from the committee.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Seeing no one and still seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone on the line to testify in neutral?
To testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 325, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to provide testimony in neutral.
Thank you. Will you be back for comments, for final remarks?
I will be back for some closing remarks. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett for the record. At the heart of this bill is a simple principle. When disaster strikes, Nevadans need to hear from human leaders, not an algorithm. AB 325 says, come with me if you want to live, ensuring that when it comes to life or death decisions, a real person is in charge. AI can be a useful tool, but we can't let it call the shots. AB 325 is a common sense measure that allows space for the tools and benefits. AI offers, while requiring human involvement and oversight to help safeguard these tools. I have no doubt that I'll be back for a work session soon.
Thank you for that presentation. I will now close the hearing on AB 325 and move to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 826-3134-5542, and then press pound when prompted for the participant ID. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide testimony, and you may also submit written public comment to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there anyone here in Carson City who wishes to provide public comment today? Seeing no one approach, we will move to Las Vegas. Seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone on the line for public comment?
To provide public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be Monday, March 10th at 8 a.m. in room 3143. That concludes our meeting for today. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.